At my son's wedding, my daughter-in-law accidentally poured garbage juice over my head, and everyone laughed. I stood there, soaked and silent, while my son looked away. Then I reached for the microphone and said 3 words that made her face turn white. That night was only the beginning. The morning light in Savannah filtered through the lace curtains, soft and gold, the way my late husband used to call Sunday light. I stood by the window, folding the beige dress I'd picked for Darius's wedding. Plain, respectful, the kind of color that didn't demand attention. The kettle whistled, and I chuckled to myself. At my age, coffee better behave, I murmured. The air smelled faintly of magnolia and toast. I liked mornings that obeyed their rhythm, quiet, certain, mortgage paid, savings steady, peace of mind intact. That's what 50 years of being careful earns you. I'd promised myself I'd keep the peace this week. No matter how Seraphine, my future daughter-in-law, behaved, Darius wanted everyone smiling, and I'd smile even if it took every ounce of grace left in me. Folks in this town nod before they judge, and I intended to give them something decent to nod at. My phone blinked on the counter. A message from Seraphine, time-stamped 1:13 a.m. I opened it. Please don't wear bright colors. Photos read better? My jaw tightened. I stared at my beige dress. Beige isn't bright. Bless her heart. She just told me to shrink. I typed back, "Thanks for the note. I'll be appropriate." Then deleted it. Typed again. The same words. My thumb hovered. I hit send. This wasn't my first time being edited out. PTA pictures. Church bulletins. Always the same pattern. Women like me. Aged and brown, politely asked to fade into the background. I chose my pearl studs anyway. Dignity's not about color, it's about standing still when people try to erase you. By 9, I was driving down River Street to pick up Darius's gift, a silver money clip engraved. Stand tall. My husband used to say that whenever Darius slouched at the dinner table, the jeweler, Mr. Clancy, looked up from the counter. Well, if it isn't Ms. Larkin, you still keeping those kids at the shelter in line? I smiled. They keep me in line these days. He laughed. I paid for the engraving, sliding my debit card into the reader. It beeped. Declined. Mr. Clancy frowned. Tried again. Same result. I checked my phone, opening the banking app. The screen showed something strange. Joint settings pending. My name grayed out. Permissions altered. My stomach turned cold. Darius had view-only access for emergencies. Nothing more. The bank's helpline put me on hold. Then a voice said, "We show a recent request to update ownership tied to a family event." My name was no longer primary. "That dog won't hunt," I whispered. I paid with cash from my envelope purse. Mr. Clancy offered an apologetic smile. I said, "It's fine. The card's just tired." But my hands were shaking. Outside, I sat on a shaded bench, cicadas buzzing like power lines. I listed what I still controlled. Pension, the trust handled by Rufus Gentry, the lawyer my husband trusted. I took screenshots, noted times, saved them in a folder. "In the South?" I muttered. "You don't argue on the sidewalk, yeah? You document and you drive." I decided right then. Gracious in public, firm in private, I would not beg for respect from my own blood. I'd require it. Back home, I practiced 2 versions of greetings for Seraphine, polite and professional. "We'll stick to the schedule and keep receipts," I rehearsed, smiling in the mirror. My phone buzzed, a wedding photo group chat. My name wasn't tagged, just family plus planners. "I wasn't raised in a barn," I said to the quiet kitchen. "I know when a door's being shut." I laid the beige dress across the bed. The fabric caught the morning light, soft but stubborn. I'd wear it anyway. Let her text look petty next to my composure. I slipped Rufus's card into my purse beside copies of my ID and bank info. One can't be too careful when peace feels like a test. Before heading out, I checked my voicemail. Seraphine's voice oozed sweetness. "Mavera, please make it easy for the team this week. Everyone's counting on harmony." Harmony, her word for control. Outside. I helped an older couple find their car in the crowded lot. They thanked me, called me dear. I smiled. Funny how strangers manage more respect than family. I texted Darius. "Proud of you. See you tonight." He sent a thumbs-up emoji. My throat tightened as I reached for the money clip box. I whispered, "If they're editing me out of the picture, they'd better learn who owns the camera." Cordelia Brandt answered on the second ring. "Are you alone?" she whispered, like we were already co-conspirators. I turned from the kitchen light toward the window, watching the moss sway in the Savannah heat. "Just need tomorrow's call times," I said. She hesitated, her tone slipping into that careful planner rhythm. "They've finalized priority family tiles and lead frame guests." "Cut to it, honey," I said, voice even. "Am I on the list or not?" There was a small exhale, then the truth. "You're on site," she said, "but the note says to keep you out of the main frame, to reduce visual noise." I almost smiled. "Visual noise? Lord, that's a new one." She continued, nervous. "It came from the bride's PR deck." My stomach went still. "The bride's what?" "PR deck." "Her brand team wants a tight narrative." She sent a screenshot. My name sat beside a tag. Logistics friendly. I'd run fundraisers, funerals, bake sales. I knew when I'd been demoted. "Who signed off?" I asked. "Seraphine," she said, low. "She wants cohesion." "Appreciate your honesty," I told her. "That's you doing your job," she pleaded. "Please don't say it came from me." "I don't burn folks who warn me," I said, then hung up. Quiet, steady, not surprised, just tired of learning the same lesson twice, by 4. I drove to the mansion near the river. The valet smiled politely but handed me a plain white wristband instead of the gold one everyone else wore. At the door, a sign split the world. Family. Left, vendors, right. I stood a second, then walked left. The attendant hesitated, scanning his tablet. "Your badge is pending." "Then print me a temporary," I said. He softened. "Of course. Miss Larkin." I nodded. "We'll get it squared away." I noted the time and her name. Paper before protest. The lobby glittered with chandeliers and tension. I studied the seating chart framed in gold, names alphabetized, polished. My eyes slid down to the L's. Larkin, Darius, Larkin, Seraphine. No Mavera. Instead, a sidecard. Catering guest, Miss Larkin. I let out one short laugh. "Well, won't that beat all?" A junior planner rushed over. "We can move you to table 12, near staging." "Who placed me in catering?" I asked, sweet as iced tea. The bride wanted a streamlined family map. "Bless her efficiency," I said, raising my phone. I took a photo, my reflection small in the glass. Posture straightening itself. Then Seraphine appeared, citrus perfume and control. "We're keeping things minimal," she said, kissing the air near my cheek. "It photographs rich." "Minimal's fine," I answered, so long as respect doesn't get misplaced. She blinked, lips curving into a PR smile. "We're aligning visuals with our story." "Make sure your story has a mother in it," I said. The stylist beside her looked down. Silence became its own applause. When they left, I turned to the young planner. "Print me the frame policy." She did, hands trembling. I circled the line. "Family of origin. if visually cohesive. I won't make you a scene, I told her. I'll make you a record. I texted Rufus, my lawyer, just cataloging. No action yet. Then messaged Darius, my seat's table 12. His reply, we'll sort it out. That phrase, the refuge of cowards, I called him. Straight to voicemail. Son, I said softly, honor happens in details. I paused. I'm here to celebrate you, but I expect my name where it belongs. I hung up. A text came back, a clock emoji. That boy forgot who taught him time. A tourist couple stopped me under the chandelier. Would you mind taking our picture? I lined the shot, adjusted the light. You've got a good eye, the man said. Practice makes permanent, I told him. Their smile steadied me more than any apology could. The bellhop polished brass nearby, every stroke patient. The world kept spinning, decent people still doing their jobs right. My phone buzzed. Cordelia again. Photographer wants family at 6:20 sharp. Your tag will be separate. Understood. I texted back. Log the change. The clerk returned with my new badge. Catering guest, Ms. Larkin. I smoothed it flat, then flipped it backward on the lanyard. My invite still faced out. I stepped into the evening heat, Savannah humming around me. If they insist I'm catering, I murmured, they're about to learn who's really feeding this family. The chandeliers threw light like liquid glass across the ballroom when I stepped inside. The music was soft, polite, the kind meant to cover tension. My place card sat neatly at table 12, just Mavera Larkin. No proud line beneath it saying, Mother of the Groom. I smiled at the formality of my own erasure. I'd worked fundraisers here years back, knew the angles, the exits, where people hid when things got uncomfortable. Cordelia caught my eye, then looked away. Evening, Ms. Larkin, said a server carrying flutes of champagne. Strangers always manage more grace than family. I smoothed my dress, the same beige I'd ironed twice this morning, and told myself, stand straight. They can't crop what won't bow. Table 12 was near the service doors. I could hear the kitchen printer spitting tickets, steady, mechanical, almost like a heartbeat reminding me who was really keeping the night alive. One cousin nodded vaguely. Another mistook me for a vendor liaison, I corrected her softly, then let her off the hook with a smile. Across the room, the head table glittered like a movie set. Seraphine sat in the middle, every strand of hair disciplined, Darius to her right, looking staged, coached, not free. The slideshow began, childhood photos, college, engagement. My face appeared twice, cropped close. Background only. That's when I whispered, that's a choice. The DJ called for our gracious family speakers. Darius stood up, adjusted his jacket, cleared his throat. Thank you all for being here, he said, confident, the voice I helped him build back when he stuttered through church recitals. He thanked vendors, Seraphine's parents, her college roommate, the neighbor who fed their dog. To everyone who made me who I am today, he continued, and I leaned forward, waiting for my name, just once. It never came. The room filled with claps and smiles. I sat perfectly still. A laugh caught in my throat, small, bitter. The sound of omission was louder than any applause. I texted him one word, proud. He looked at the screen, then set it face down. Seraphine touched his wrist, her signal to stay on script. Cordelia leaned near me. Photos in 10, Ms. Larkin. I'll be where I'm placed, I replied. My old friend Maybelle from church squeezed my hand on her way past. You look lovely. Sugar. You too. Maybelle, I said, and I meant it. Leaving would have been easier, but staying, that took muscle. I dabbed my face with the corner of a napkin, not to cry, just to stay precise. Humidity, not weakness. The DJ announced a special family toast. Seraphine took the mic. Smile rehearsed. "Let's include our mothers," she said. Heads turned toward her side of the room. She made a sweeping gesture that might have meant me, might have meant air. I stood because my dignity demanded it. A server brought 2 flutes, one golden clear, one cloudy darker. "We welcome every loving figure tonight," she said, syrup thick in her voice. I moved closer to the mic, preparing to offer one sentence of grace. The floor beneath me gleamed slick. I felt it shift. Then it happened. Seraphine tripped, a half step of theater, and the darker glass tilted over my head. The smell hit first: coffee grounds, orange peel, old wine, garbage juice dressed up as champagne. It slid down my dress, into the pearls at my neck. The crowd gasped, then tittered. Someone's phone rose to record. Seraphine covered her mouth. "Oh no," she cried to the room. Not to me. I didn't flinch. I didn't touch a thing. I let it run where it wanted. "Bless your heart," I said, calm and sharp enough to slice marble. Laughter scattered like coins on tile. A bridesmaid offered napkins without looking up. Darius stood there, his hands frozen mid-applause, eyes bouncing between wife and mother. No landing point. "Would you hand me the microphone?" I asked the DJ. My voice carried like a bell. He gave it to me, trembling just slightly. I stepped center stage, wet, shining under the chandelier, the joke that refused to collapse. I looked at every guest, one by one. My pulse timed itself to the printer's last stutter in the kitchen. The mic hummed under my fingers. The laughter faded. The hush spread. "Play the video." The microphone still hummed when I said those words. The DJ froze, looking at the booth for guidance. One of the planners shook her head, mouthing something about technical difficulties. Seraphine lifted her manicured hand like a queen calming her court. "Just a little glitch. Folks," she called, her voice coated with sugar. Laughter rippled through the room, awkward, forced, but enough to stitch the moment shut for them. I didn't move. I stood there, wet from the garbage juice she'd poured, refusing to flinch. My eyes sought Darius. He looked at the booth, at her, then at the crowd, never at me. "No rush," I said, steady as steel. "I can wait." That waiting was the sharpest noise in the room. He didn't say a word. My own son, jaw tight, fingers locked around his glass, stayed seated when I needed just one syllable of truth from him. "Play it." Or, "Mom, you all right?" Would have done. But silence stretched between us like barbed wire. Instead, he raised his glass and smiled at the crowd. A toast meant to smooth optics, not heal wounds. The guests followed his lead. Chatter and laughter crept back like nothing had happened. I set the microphone down carefully. Not as surrender, but as record. You learn over years of living that silence is just another kind of verdict. Cordelia found me in the hallway, towel in hand, eyes darting. "Let me help you, Miss Larkin." "No need," I said. "Just a glass of water and some light." She nodded and waved a young server over. The boy avoided eye contact as he passed me the tray. "You're fine, baby," I told him softly. "This ain't your doing." I dabbed the stains gently, never scrubbed. Evidence dries better when you let it breathe. I took photos under clean light. Each shot time-stamped. "Paper outlasts performance," I murmured. I texted Darius. "Side door. 2 minutes." He came, shoulders slumped, checking if anyone saw him. "Son," I said. "Honor doesn't shout, it stands." "Are you standing?" He exhaled hard. Mom, please, don't make this worse. It's her night. It got big when you got small, I told him. No yelling, just truth. You're embarrassing her, he whispered. Optics. Mom. I laughed once. Low. Optics won't hold your hand in a hospital bed. His eyes flickered, then dropped. When he walked away, I felt the cold creep in, not from air conditioning, but from blood gone thin. At the front desk, I returned the badge. You can keep this, I said. It mislabeled me anyway. I picked up the gift I'd brought, a money clip engraved. Stand tall, son. Its meaning had shifted, but it still belonged to me. Cordelia whispered. I'm sorry, I said. You told one truth tonight. Keep that habit. Outside, the air was heavy, the kind that holds noise. Cicadas screamed like a choir, maybe applause from heaven. I didn't look back at the mansion lights. Family, I thought. Don't mean belonging. At home, I spoke aloud to the quiet pension, deed, trust papers. Still mine. I opened the glove compartment, took out my small notebook, wrote 8:40 TPM, spill 8:51, video stall 8:58 exit. I texted Rufus Gentry. No action yet, catalog only. He replied, 9 M. Monday. I placed screenshots, timestamps, everything into a labeled folder, reception unedited. I showered, let the ruined dress soak, the smell of sour champagne and rot reminding me why patience has weight. The doorbell rang. Vivian Crest stood there with a casserole and a knowing look. Honey, she said, I saw some clips already. That girl's got a fast upload finger. She told me about her own daughter-in-law. Same kind of smile, same tricks. They isolate you. Control optics, then move your money. She slid a folded note across the counter. Checklist, she said. Things I wish I'd done early. I unfolded it. One line caught my eye. Don't argue in rooms built for their applause. I circled it. Tomorrow, I said. No applause. Just paper. Vivian poured tea. You're not alone, Mavera. I smiled. Faint and solid. Alone's quieter cuts, cleaner. I packed the folder, photos, texts, gift receipt, Cordelia's note. We don't start fights, I said. We finish paperwork. I set it beside my purse. Porch light flickering soft gold. The night hummed with the kind of stillness that means something's begun. At dawn, I wasn't angry. I was organized. The sun was barely up when I sat at my kitchen table, coffee steaming, pen in hand. I read through my notes from last night and numbered each line, because when the world gets messy, order is how you breathe. Measure twice, cut once, I muttered, underlining my plan. Folder ready, photos of the invite, the stained dress, the seating chart, Cordelia's text, all labeled. If it isn't written, it didn't happen. I told myself. I made a 3-call list, Rufus first, the bank second, the venue third. No calls to Darius today. Today was for paper, not pleading. When Rufus answered, his voice was smooth as old bourbon. I laid out the facts, the pour, the technical glitch, the badge, the reduce visual noise memo. Send me everything time-stamped, he said. I emailed while we spoke. Received. He confirmed a moment later. He started listing actions. Preservation notice. Demand letters. Advisory to the bank. We're not fighting, he said. We're filing. I smiled. Amen to that. He wanted me at his office by 10:30 with all originals. Bring ID, he added, and composure. That's the only thing I never misplace. I said. Next, I called the bank. First Seacoast. This is Shelby. How can I help? She asked. Review my weekend account changes, I said evenly. She hummed while typing, then paused. There was a joint control upgrade request logged at 107 Ma'am, something about wedding household consolidation. My grip tightened. That's incorrect, I said. No such authorization. Within minutes, compliance froze any changes and reinstated me as the sole owner. Shelby promised a PDF confirming reversal. When I opened it, I saw the IP address registered to the historic mansion venue. If your name's on the roof, I murmured, your name better be on the deed. At the branch, the manager recognized me. Medricis Larkin. We'll notarize this affidavit right away. The fraud officer suggested a verbal passcode. I chose one my mother used when she meant business. Unforgettable, unguessable. I added daily PDF balance alerts and requested a printed confirmation letter. The teller smiled. Mondays are for fixing what Saturday broke. I laughed. Ain't that the truth? I left with a red tabbed file labeled Bank, S9. Cleaner than a sermon. By noon, I called the venue. Historic Mansion Events BDI, the receptionist said. I need incident and AV booth logs from Saturday, I replied. For preservation notice. She hesitated. We don't keep that detail. Then don't delete what you do keep, I said gently. I hung up and received a text from Cordelia. Check your email in 10. Not from me. I waited. Poured more coffee and refreshed exactly 10 minutes later. The email subject read, PR shot list, updated. Inside. It was worse than I'd imagined. Minimize MyL, reduce visual noise. Catering badge, okay if pushback. Sent by Seraphine herself. Attached was another file. Spill gag risk assessment, low if played as stumble. I read that twice. My hands didn't shake. But my heart hardened. I forwarded everything to Rufus. No commentary, just received. I printed each page and slid them into a blue tab. Email S10. Sing. Baby, I said to the printer as it hummed. At Rufus's office, the air smelled of cedar and ink. I signed the preservation letters, the demand drafts, the cease and desist for online posts, held, not released. Rufus handed me a small envelope. Courtesy copy for your son. Served through neutral hands. No drama, just delivery. Sheriff's deputy? I asked. He nodded. 6 o'clock. Condo lobby. I agreed. No scene, I said. Just record. Back home, I lined up my folders, red and blue, bank and email like battle flags. Cordelia texted again. Photographer backed up everything. It won't vanish. I breathed in, exhaled steady. I dressed in a fresh blouse, packed tissues, not for me, but for whoever needed them when truth arrived. I looked at the clock. 5:42 p.m. The world was about to meet my quiet kind of justice. At 6 o'clock, I wasn't looking for an apology. I was bringing the mirror. The air outside the condo shimmered with heat even as the evening fell. I parked in the guest spot, red and blue folders tucked neatly in my tote. The deputy from the sheriff's civil division stood near the fountain, calm and official. Ms. Larkin? He asked. We're good to go. The concierge verified my name against the guest list. Seraphine had pre-cleared the lounge, thinking it would impress. I requested full lights. Glass walls made everything visible, but private enough to hold dignity. We're here to keep the temperature down and the record clean, the deputy said. I texted Darius. Here. His reply came quick. On our way. The elevator doors opened like a stage curtain. Darius stepped out first, trying to look composed. Seraphine followed, her smile polished to perfection. The deputy confirmed their names, then handed each envelope, preservation notices, bank reversal, planner email thread. Seraphine tried to refuse. We don't accept this. The deputy interrupted. Service affected. marking the time on his pad. Darius's eyes froze on the bank letterhead, scanning phrases he didn't want to understand. I spoke evenly. "This isn't a fight. It's clarity," Seraphine muttered. "Lawyer games." Gripping the envelope as if it might bite, I laid out the rules. 10 minutes, calm voices, no interruptions, you'll see the evidence. Then you can respond. Once. My tone wasn't sharp. It was settled. "I'm not here to embarrass you," I said. I'm here to correct the record." Darius opened his mouth about social media, but I lifted my hand. "We'll get to that, and tonight is paper." The red folder landed on the table like a gavel. The deputy stood silent, the weight of neutrality in his posture. Seraphine clung to Darius's arm. The ice machine clicked in the kitchenette, the only thing brave enough to make noise. I opened the bank file and spread the papers. IP metadata traced to their building, time-stamped hours after the reception. "If you wouldn't say it into a microphone, don't do it to a bank," I said. Darius began. "We didn't authorize," until I pointed at the device ID. His voice fell quiet. I laid out the notarized affidavit and reversal letter. Seraphine blinked hard. "Clerical mix-up," she claimed. "Clerks don't sign PR shot lists." I answered. The deputy wrote something in his log. Pen steady as truth itself. I opened the blue folder next. "Minimize mill. Reduce visual noise." I read aloud. Then, "Spill gag risk assessment. Low," Darius whispered. "Seraphine?" The sound of a man realizing too late. I motioned to the concierge. The lounge screen flickered on, showing the backup video Cordelia had saved. The sound of laughter filled the room again, that cruel little chorus from the wedding night. I didn't watch the screen. I watched my son watching me. The video froze on the moment of the pour. Seraphine's face lingered in the corner with her name on the email footer. I spoke quietly. "Respect isn't a decoration. Baby, it's policy." I laid down 3 boundaries: no access to my accounts, public retraction or formal correction, and written contact only for 30 days. If the reels keep running, the injunction goes live. I added. Darius tried to apologize, voice breaking around pride. "Use full words," I told him, "or use silence." Seraphine muttered, litigious, under her breath, glancing nervously at the deputy's camera. He asked to speak privately. I declined. "Neutral spaces only for now." She suggested a smiling photo to calm the narrative. The deputy shook his head. I said, "If you want to cool something, issue a written correction." She called me performative. I smiled. "Projection isn't correction." The deputy escorted me toward the elevator. The concierge thanked me softly. A woman passing by whispered, "Good for you, ma'am." I looked up at the ceiling camera, my silent witness. I texted Rufus, "Service complete, video viewed, reactions recorded." His reply, "Rest easy, tomorrow we file." When the elevator doors closed, I let one tear fall, and then I smiled. The morning began with 3 calls before breakfast. At 8:07, the phone lit up. HR compliance. Another notification followed. HOA enforcement, hearing notice. Then, historic mansion, owner's office. I set my coffee down, flipped open my legal pad, and wrote the date in neat cursive. If it isn't written, it didn't happen. The house was quiet except for the clock ticking above the sink. I took a deep breath, steadied my voice, and decided the order. HR first, HA second, venue last, paper before pride, always. HR came on the line, calm and polite in that trained corporate way. The specialist confirmed a formal complaint, citing the viral videos and a possible code of conduct breach. I explained the emails marked minimize miel and spill gag risk assessment, along with the time-stamped footage played the night before. She asked for documentation. I'll send the preservation notice and service confirmation, I said. I'm not asking for punishment, just policy. She hesitated, then opened an internal case and gave me a reference number. Do you wish to remain anonymous? She asked. No, I said. I just want to remain accurate. I underlined that number twice in blue ink. The HOA officer called next. His tone had that practiced neighborhood diplomacy, courteous but armed with bylaws. He cited complaints about unauthorized filming and noise during the wedding reception. I confirmed I had visitor logs and timestamps from the deputy's visit. We'll need them for the record, he said. You'll have them by noon. They scheduled a hearing for Thursday evening. Public minutes, potential fines, even key fob restrictions. Rules are how neighbors avoid wars, I told him, and he chuckled softly. That's going in my meeting notes, he said. I smiled. Words, like laws, work better when written. The third call came from the venue owner himself. His tone was careful, contrition wrapped in legal caution. He admitted the technical hiccup was staff error, not authorized, and apologized for failing my dignity. I accepted the apology, but not the excuse. He confirmed an AV backup existed and promised to preserve it under outside counsel. Would a public statement help? He asked. Accuracy helps, I said. Statements can follow. We ended politely, both aware this wasn't friendship, it was leverage. By noon, my phone buzzed again. A PR acquaintance messaged. Their camp's drafting a clarification post. I took a screenshot, saved it under social twos, and muted my notifications. Vivian Crest texted next. Tide's turning. Keep your hat on. I smiled into my coffee. Respect isn't revenge, but sometimes they rhyme. At 1 p.m., the apology draft arrived. PR crafted nonsense. A misunderstood moment. Deep love for family. Moving forward together. No ownership, no truth. I opened the document and edited in plain language. We acknowledge deliberate harm. We regret it fully. We apologize directly to Mavera Larkin. Then I deleted the conditions that demanded I cease public comment. An apology that costs nothing buys nothing. I typed, deadline, 5 p.m. At 2:20, a new email appeared from HOA Council. Attached was building security footage from 104 m. Seraphine exiting the elevator. Phone in hand, near the business center. Wi-Fi light flickered behind her. Another clip showed Darius in the garage, carrying takeout bags. Oblivious, I cross-referenced the times with the bank's metadata. The arrows lined up perfectly. I texted Rufus. Chain confirmed. His reply came fast. Copy. HR will care. So will the court. Around 3, Darius called. His voice sounded smaller than it had in months. Mom, I didn't know about the bank thing, he said. Can we talk, just us? Neutral rooms only. I answered. Thursday's HOA meeting is fine. He sighed. You don't have to sound so legal. Legal, I said gently, is how quiet people get heard. Silence stretched. Will you support her apology? He asked finally. I'll support the truth, I replied, and ended the call softly. By late afternoon, I reviewed everything with Rufus over speaker. We aligned the next steps, HR case, HOA hearing, venue logs, and held the cease and desist in reserve. He proposed one humane clause for the apology, a donation to senior legal aid in my name. I nodded. That kind of correction healed more than it hurt. We agreed on 4:30 to finalize. At 4:57, my stove clock grew louder. Email pinged. The revised apology arrived. 2 of my edits kept. 1 softened beyond meaning. I breathed once, then typed, say it like you mean it, or don't say it. I attached the final version, hit send, and leaned back. At 6:01, the internet refreshed, and so did my resolve. I arrived early. The red and blue folders tucked neatly in my tote and my spiral pad balanced on top. The air outside the riverfront towers carried that thick, warm Savannah weight that makes you walk slow and think clear. The deputy signed the visitor's sheet beside me, calm and practiced. Rufus Gentry waited at the door, holding 2 slim folders marked "Record Copy." I told him, "Let's handle our business like grown folks." Inside. The hearing room was plain, folding chairs, flickering fluorescent light, one clock clicking too loud. Darius stood by the window, shoulders bent. Seraphine whispered to her PR woman, both dressed like the cover of a lifestyle magazine. I sat straight, centered, and repeated the line I'd practiced, "Say it plain or don't say it." The chair opened the session, gavel tapping plastic instead of wood. "We're here to address 3 violations," she said. "Filming without authorization, disruption, and harassment." Counsel reminded us the meeting was being recorded. I nodded, set my tabs in order, and wrote the timestamp at the top of my pad. When Seraphine began her soft-voiced introduction about misunderstandings, the chair stopped her. "Stick to documented events." Darius avoided my eyes completely. I chose silence until my turn. Stillness carries more weight than protest when the paper's on your side. When it came, I stood and handed over my exhibits: the minimize mail email, the spill gag plan, the video link, the bank reversal letter, the Wi-Fi log. "Rules keep neighbors from becoming enemies," I said. I explained in 3 minutes what was done, what followed, what remedy I sought. No adjectives, no flair, just nouns and verbs. My requests were simple: take down the content, issue fines per incident, suspend Seraphine's badge for 30 days, and post a written apology on the resident portal. I added one grace note: a chance to donate part of the fine to Coastal Senior Legal Aid. Rufus slid the policy packet forward like serving communion. When Seraphine's side spoke, her PR agent talked about brand harm and context. The chair leaned forward. "This isn't a PR review, ma'am. We enforce policy." Seraphine's voice thinned. I never meant to humiliate anyone. But the email on the monitor glowed with her signature. Darius spoke next, shaky. "I didn't touch the bank." Security logs confirmed that much, but it didn't clear him. Intent versus impact? I wrote that in block letters. The building tech confirmed the Wi-Fi access at 108. The air in the room shifted. Truth has a temperature. The board deliberated briefly, then ruled 4-1. Immediate removal of all videos filmed on condo grounds. $2,000 in fines. 30-day suspension for Seraphine's amenity access. A written apology due within 48 hours, or the fines would double. Option for substitution: half the amount donated to senior legal aid. Darius received a caution for misuse of guest privileges, no fine unless repeated. The chair thanked me for presenting cleanly. I replied, "Thank you for following your own book." Rufus's pen scratched initials beside each line, while the deputy logged the ruling. "Respect isn't a flavor of the month," I said. "It's policy." Outside, the hallway smelled faintly of lemon polish and nerves. Darius came over quietly. "Is there a way back?" "Mom?" I looked at him, soft but firm. "Boundaries first, then maybe bridges." His eyes welled, and this time the word came out whole. "Sorry," I touched his arm. "Thank you for saying it plain." Seraphine offered a handshake I didn't take. "Write it where it counts," I said. Rufus handed me the portal template for the apology. I folded it into my tote beside the blue tab. In the lobby, I pulled out my phone and scheduled a small monthly donation to senior legal aid. I texted Vivian. Paper beat applause. She answered, "Always does." I forwarded the ruling to HR, case number included, then sent one more email to the venue owner. Your logs helped. Thank you. When I stepped outside, the river breeze lifted my hair, no camera in sight. Just me, my peace, and the sound of dignity settling in. Back home. I pinned the hearing notice next to my grocery list. Life ordinary again, only cleaner. I whispered the words that started it all. Roll the footage. Not revenge, not noise, just record. In the morning, a certified envelope sat on my doorstep, stamped Corporate HR, Final Disposition. The envelope trembled slightly in my hand, thicker than I expected. Stamped Confidential. Through the window, the sunrise hit my porch like a spotlight. I took a breath, slid my nail under the seal, and froze. What HR wrote inside could end more than a career. Would you open it?